Hi everybody, welcome to our Friday Live. Thank you for joining us. We'll just wait for a few more people to join. And while you're joining, just let me know who you are and where you're from. And today we are going to be covering Scissor Basics. So each week I'm teaching you guys something, so the foundations of grooming. So the other week we did brushing with a slicker, and last week we did thinners, chunkers and blenders, the difference between them and how to use them. And then this week we are going to do Scissor Basics. So a little bit different to our chunkers and our blenders and our thinners. But when I first started, we only had a pair of thinners. We didn't have our chunkers or our blenders. So we mostly used straights, and it was a bit of a treat to have a pair of curves. So that was quite a while ago. Oh, Chicago, a Cavapoo. And I grew myself. Oh, that's so nice. And I can see your little Cavapoo in your profile picture. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. That's great. And what's your Cavapoo's name? We call them cavoodles here. I think. Yep, perfect. Okay, so we will get started. So we are going to go through a few basic techniques and they're more about foundations and how to give you the foundations to then build on advanced, and they're techniques that you could use on your dogs or your client dogs, or it might be that you are just starting to groom, or you might be starting to groom your own dog as well. So that can be exciting. I need scissor help. Hennessy? What was that called? Hennessy. Beautiful. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice name. Okay, so we will start with our straight scissors. So I don't know if you guys were watching last week, but I try and use the same pair of scissors. I use a scissor that has the same handle as well, so I know it fits my hand. But first of all, everybody go and grab their scissors. Jennifer from Newfoundland, Canada. Wow. Thank you, Jen. That's awesome. That's very far from us. So thank you, and probably getting a little bit later in the day as well. So thank you for joining us. Okay, so we are going to start with our straight scissors. So everybody go grab their scissors, their straight pair of scissors. And we are going to learn how to hold our scissors correctly, because I do see a lot of people holding their scissors like this. Oh, I'll go back to the close-up. They hold their scissors like this, and it's just basically using their, like this, and you can see that I have no control. So what I want you guys to do is, I'm just going to go in front of this camera. Thursday night here. Awesome. That's exciting, because you'll be excited for your Friday and your weekend. I know that feeling. Okay, so we are going to pop our thumb in the top ring of our scissor. And then we're going to pop our ring finger through the bottom ring part of our scissor. And we call this marrying our scissor. And then what I want you to do is pop your pinky on the finger rest. And this will give us stability as we're scissoring. And I'll just sort of turn it over a little bit. I tend to like to pop the start of the shank, so the middle of the scissor, so this will be the middle, it's the heaviest part of the scissor. I like to pop that on my knuckle here and then wrap my fingers around. Okay, so this is how our hand should look. Or maybe it's a bit further back, so you might want to rest it on this finger. So once we've got that, then what I want you guys to do is gently open and close. And we're not going to open and close our entire hand like this. We're just going to open and close our thumb. So it's just this action through here. So not like this, just gently. So if we pop our hand back in our scissors, so pinky, ring finger, 2 fingers and our thumb into the top ring finger, and then open and close with our thumb only. We don't want to open our entire hand, because then this will cause a lot of tension and pain through our wrist and our hand. So our cutting motion is only using our thumb only, and it's just ever so carefully, so just a little bit at a time. So we don't want to be speedy like this, we just want to get the nice memory motion happening to just open and close. And it's a good idea when you are practicing this technique, and this is an exercise that you can do at home, is hold with your opposite hand, and this will stop your entire hand opening and closing like this. So we just want to pop that underneath our hand and then just open and close with our thumb, because this will help our body and our brain keep this part of our hand nice and still. So just open and close, open and close. So this way. Okay, so we've got that sorted. So now we're going to use, these are our grooming aids that we like to use. And I'm using my fine tooth comb to help lift the hair. And if we go to the bigger camera for now, I can show you guys how I would position myself. Sorry, it's really, we're in spring at the moment, so I've got really bad hay fever, so excuse me if I keep wiping my nose. So we're going to comb all that hair up, like we've learned in previous episodes. And then you can see as I'm cutting this side of our dog's leg, and we can pretend this cylinder is a leg. So if I'm crossing over this side, and the dog might be here actually, but for your learning, for me teaching you guys, I have to actually lean over, but we wouldn't do that in real life. But you can see how I'm always keeping my wrist straight. So I'm not turning it over and cutting this way and that way. So see the strain it would put on my wrist. So we always want to make sure our wrist is nice and straight, and we get our strength from our shoulder and our back to be able to go up and down as we scissor. So let's comb all that up. And then as we scissor, we're just going to open and close. And as we're opening and closing the scissor, we want to make sure we're not bouncing. So remember last week when we were using our blenders and our chunkers, we had to actually bounce a little bit. When we use our scissors, we don't want to bounce at all. We want to keep a nice, still, steady pace, and allowing that blade, when we move our thumb, to pick that hair up. So what we don't want to do is, we can go to the close-up for this, we don't want to come in move, scissor, come in and move and scissor. This is how we get choppiness, and that's one of the questions that I get a lot of on this channel is how do I not have choppy scissor marks? So we want to keep nice and steady, open and close, and you can see how that blade, when I move that thumb, it picks up that hair. So as I'm coming down, it's really steady and my wrist is still straight, so actually my elbow is right out and it's nice and steady. So this is how quick I'm going down as I'm scissoring. So again, I'm not chop, 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 chop. Nice and steady coming down. And we're just, and you can see this blade is really still as we're coming down. There we go. And then we can comb from the bottom up and then start that motion again. As we're coming down. And then turn this around and we can do the same as we go around. Okay, so one thing I want to mention is as well, which I think is very important, that when we scissor, we always scissor with the tip of the scissor, not with the start of the scissor from the shank, because if I scissor just there, I don't know what's beyond that tip. That might be the dog turning around, it might be a leg there, it might be other hair, I might have a lot of hair coming around and the tip might actually take some off. Sorry everybody, my dog's eating something on the floor. Sorry about that. Always the way when you've got dogs, always chewing on something they're not supposed to be. Okay, so when I'm scissoring, I'm always watching the tip of the scissor, always. If I need to use the entire scissor, then I'll open the scissor really wide and come down using the entire scissor, but I'm well aware of where that tip is. If we're cutting more detail, so using the tip, and especially around legs and feet and things like that. Now next week we are going to be scissoring our dog's eyes and our dog's fringe. So this will be great for this. So when we're coming around the bottom, see how I'm just using the tip of that scissor and coming around. If I was to use this part of the scissor, I don't have that control. So we want a more detailed cut, coming around using that tip. It's very, very important to have that control. Now, one thing I want you guys to think about as well, so we'll go to the big camera, is that when we're scissoring a straight line, so I'm either coming down this side of the dog, or I might be coming on the right side of the dog, I have the same position. If I'm coming over my dog's top line, I'm coming up. So this always positions my scissor so it's nice and level. One way we can check how level our scissor is, and this is a good little exercise to do at home, is I always get my students to use their grooming arm. And what we do is that we watch the two rings at the back of our scissor. If it's coming this way. So if I'm watching this, actually I might go to my close-up quickly. So if the scissor's facing this way, I know I'm going to cut on that angle. If the scissor's facing more this way, so those two rings are then in this line, I know it's going to cut on that line. And I know this sounds really basic, but when you've got your dog on your table and then dog might be shifting a bit, it can be a little bit tricky. So it's a good idea to get used to watching these two rings here. So when we're coming down, I know that this is in line with my eyes when I'm coming down. As soon as it comes on that side, I know it's going to scissor through here. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So a good exercise to do is to use your grooming arm or a side of a wall. And these are all things that you can do at home. So you don't need a big salon, you don't need anything elaborate. They're all small exercises that you can do at home to improve your scissor techniques. So coming down and just watching the back of your scissor as you're coming down that side. So as soon as it starts veering off, you know that that's then going to cut on that angle. So we want nice straight lines, and this will get you used of that movement as well as opening and closing the scissor. So we're not cutting, moving, cutting, moving, cutting. It's that seamless motion, and it's the same speed. And that's the action that we're looking for as we're scissoring. Now, when we're doing that, it's a really good idea to really take your time and really concentrate and watch. And if you're struggling to do that, go back to sitting on the sofa at home, and I used to do this when I first started grooming, is pop your hand underneath your scissor and just open and close those scissors. Just ever so slowly. Open, close. And this will help you get nice and steady. Okay, so what if we've got a curved scissor? So for people that have watched my episodes before, I don't use a really gnarly curve. I prefer to make my shapes through my mind and then through my scissoring. So again, we really need to watch what the tip of the scissor is doing. So remember how I said with our straights that we need to watch that tip coming down. So it's a good idea when you go to use your curves that you're still watching that tip. Now I'm using the curve in the natural position, but if I didn't want to put my scissor down because I'm holding the dog at the same time and pick up my straights, I can then switch my curve around and use the back side of the curve to create that straight line coming down. Now we're using the middle part of the scissor, so remember what I said before, that we need to be careful when we're not using the tip. We need to make sure we're really watching that tip, making sure we don't cut anything off that we don't want to. And then the same as if we're detailed cutting, we are then watching the tip of that scissor. Now the last thing I want to talk about is if the tip of your scissor is blunt, and this is where I see a lot of accidents happen when scissors are blunt and they're not sharp. because what we need to do is then scissor harder. So when we're coming down, we're really putting a lot of effort into the scissoring, whereas these can catch a little bit. Yeah, they're catching just ever so slightly, and that can be uncomfortable for the dog because it's just pulling little bits of hair as you're scissoring, and the dog might be like jumping and jumping. So if that's happening, definitely send your scissors away for sharpening. Don't continue to use them, because that's when accidents can happen. And then because you're not watching the tip, or you're not using the tip of the scissor, that you'll then start using the middle of the scissor. So it's a good idea to really keep those scissors nice and sharp. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys about, I have a basic and intermediate scissor workshop coming up as well in Melbourne. So it's a 3-hour workshop, and we go through fitting scissors to your hand, the different blades, different hand sets, all that type of stuff. So if you're interested in going to that, I only have 6 places available, so I won't be doing another one of these workshops probably till, I'm going to say maybe the start of first quarter of next year, later in that quarter. So if you wanted to do that, definitely do that. It's a really good introduction to hand scissoring and learning the basics and getting confidence to be able to use your scissors correctly, because I think that's a big one. If you don't have those foundations, it doesn't matter how much you do it, you're learning the wrong foundations, and then mistakes can happen. And I want everybody to groom beautiful dogs. Then we'll go back to our straights. So is there any questions about today's grooming session? I know it's a quickie, but there's exercises that you can do at home that really make life easier for you. So remember, sit on your sofa, open and close those scissors. Open, close, open, close. Same as if you've got a pair of curves. Pop that hand underneath. I don't want you guys to start doing this or using your scissors like this. And you can see I can't even hold the scissors when I use them like I'm pinching something. So we want nice, steady scissor work. And once we've mastered this technique, then we're going to move on to scissoring down our grooming arm. And these are all things that you can do in your salon as well. So if you've got a group of people that you want to improve their scissoring, you can just get them to go down that grooming arm. It's a really nice, easy way to warm up before your day. And before we go, I'm going to release our podcast next week, so I'm just doing the final touches with that. So that's pretty exciting, where you can learn all about us on the first episode and all the different things that we've done previously. So I'm pretty excited about that. It was a lot of fun to do. So we will be doing a podcast every month as well. Now, did anybody have any questions about their scissors or what they're having trouble with at home? If you end up are very helpful, that's awesome. So even if you leave today and say tomorrow, because I know it's a little bit later for a lot of you people over the other side of the world, that tomorrow you might pick up your scissors and there might be a question that you have, definitely drop it into the comments below and I'll get back to you guys, or I can quickly address it in next week's live, which will be scissoring our dog's inner corner of their eyes as well as their fringe. So really creating expression in our dog's face. So that's something that you don't want to miss, because it's all the things that we've learned previously we're then going to apply to our own dog. So definitely join us for that, and that's next Friday, which is 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think my Bichon Dash is looking forward to that because he's a bit hairy canary at the moment. So yes, that's the end of today's session. Again, if you wanted to join our beginner to intermediate class, definitely put the QR code. Definitely be watching next week's face trimming. Yes, get your Cavapoo there and we can do it together. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll groom together. So if you wanted to join that workshop, use a QR code. I'll definitely pop some more information about today's grooming session in our post in our community group on our YouTube channel. So I'll post a scissor workshop and maybe some little PDFs on how to hold your scissors, because it can be a little bit tricky to remember how to hold your scissors and keep your scissors nice and still and steady. Okay, guys, so we'll wrap that up for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's grooming session. I definitely did, and it's one of my passions to help you guys. Main reason I'm all Rhonda, I'll quickly answer your question while I'm here. Rhonda. Hello, Mal. The main reason I'm bouncing, especially with a moving dog. Yes, that can be. So you definitely need to, and I know, I totally understand because I groom. So if I've got a dog that's shifting a lot, as soon as a dog starts to get a little bit wiggly, just pull your scissors away, stop, settle the dog, and then start again. Start that process again. And don't forget to comb up first, but it's more important that the dog's nice and steady on the table before we then move into scissoring, because it's impossible. I mean, my new Bichon at the moment, he's not a fan of the table at all. He's still learning about how to be groomed and the process of grooming. So dogs need to be taught this as well. So while we're teaching the dog as well. So that's very important that they understand what's about to happen. So if they don't like the scissors near them at all and they're moving, get them nice and steady and then start that process again. So I'm big on teaching the dogs how to be groomed and communicating to them in a way that they understand. So nice, calm techniques. Did that answer your question, Rhonda? I hope so. I really hope it did. But if it didn't, definitely let me know. Okay, I'll wrap that up and I'll see you guys next week. Get all your dogs ready and we'll scissor their little eyes and their fringes as well. So I'll be using thinners, blenders, and our straights and our curves as well. So I'll pop all the equipment that I'll be using in our description so you guys can be ready for that. But we'll groom together next week and it'll be a lot of fun. All right. Hope you guys have a lovely Friday and an even better weekend. And I will see